Australia. Foreigners might immediately think of its dry outback and its open plains. But in places along the northeast coast, sea breezes collide into mountain ranges, creating an abundance of rain. One such coastal area is the state of Queensland, over twice the size of Great Britain. It has the greatest variety of plants and wildlife in all of Australia. Before humans inhabited the Earth, the first animals roamed across one of two massive continents called Gondwanaland. Beginning over 160 million years ago, cataclysmic forces fractured Gondwanaland into smaller continents, sending them and their life forms on a transoceanic journey. Gondwanaland originally included South America, Africa, Australia and Antarctica, and was covered by massive forests. As the continents drifted apart over a period of 100 million years, different life forms evolved on each of them. Only in Australia did the marsupial mammals establish themselves as the dominant life forms, uniquely different from what occurred on all other continents. Global climates have changed over the past several 100,000 years, so that much of Australia has become more arid. 15 million years ago, the Australian plate collided with the Asian plate, creating an Indonesian archipelago, opening the way for the two continents to exchange flora and fauna. How and exactly where marsupial animals originated, no one knows for certain. But they did flourish here in Australia and nowhere else in the world. The greatest diversity of animal life exists in the coastal tropical rainforest, much of it found in Queensland. Biological Journeys is a pioneer in the field of ecotourism that takes small groups of amateur naturalists on wildlife expeditions throughout the world. They've been coming to Queensland for many years to observe and experience the wildlife and natural history of this region. The group's guide is Rob Gomersall, an Englishman who has resided on the Queensland coast for the past 18 years. He warns people of some of the hazards of hiking in the rainforest.
Because we do have a plant here, we call it a stinging tree. And I know, you have California poison oak and there's the East Coast ivy, but frankly, that is very mild compared to some people's reaction to the stinging tree. It has little hairs, silica hairs on the leaves and also on the stems. But those silica hairs get under your skin and it can be extremely painful for a period of days, but then you get pain ongoing, sometimes for many months.
Members of the group include Ron Lavalley, an avid naturalist and owner of Biological Journeys, Alice Case, a medical researcher, Alan and Meg Lynch, two orthodontists from London, Pamela Atry, a photographer from Vienna, Wendy Catlin, the trip's coordinator, Ed Smith, a marine biologist, and his wife Sue, a computer executive, Kay Chaffee, an aviatress and writer, and Beverly Allen, a doctor. The Daintree National Park is one of the oldest rainforests in the world today. The age of a rainforest can be measured by the diversity of plant species and the amount of topsoil on the ground. Tropical rainforests are able to thrive in basically poor soils. They are closed systems in that the forests create and recycle their own nutrients. The leaf and tree matter that falls to the ground is quickly decomposed by litter and soil bacteria into rich nutrients that are then available for the tree's root systems to reabsorb.
If you get a big wind, so you get a cyclonic situation, you get all the rain plus the wind, it of course brings a big tree like that down. But then there's a big input of nutrients on the ground there, and at the same time there's a break in the canopy. So you're getting the sunlight coming through, you get a lot of nutrients on the ground, and obviously it's a time for a good chance for growth and renewal.
This marsupial looks like a small kangaroo, but is called a red-legged paddymelon. It inhabits the rainforest and usually feeds at night, generally feeding on leaves, berries, fern fronds, orchids and grasses. It uses its forepaws to manipulate its food. These cousins to the kangaroo dwell only in the rainforest, where they can seek shelter under the canopy. Wild brush turkeys also abound in this habitat.
The ones with the larger yellow wattles are the dominant males. The ones that have their tail in the air are the ones that are trying to claim dominance over this territory here. And so some of them will have their tail in the air until they come to another one that's a bit bigger, and then they put their tail down.
John Chambers operates a lodge located in the rainforest. He mimics certain bird calls for Ronla Valley.
The wampu pigeon. Yeah. It's the largest of the pigeons, and it goes wallak wahoo, wak wak wahoo, wallak. Then you also, of a night time, you get the lesser sooty owls, and they do the dropping bomb sound.
I missed that, but I did hear the boo-book owl.
Yeah, and the boo-book owl does the mopoke sound and so on. Now, you've got something just landed in a tree up there. See that black just flying around there? That could be a Victoria riflebird. It could be a Victoria riflebird in the male mode. And the Victoria riflebird does the You have the brush turkey, which has built this mound here, because very little sunlight will come in the rainforest. They rely totally on composting. They start building the mounds up between about September. They go from about September through to about January, building the mounds. And you can always tell when they're in the mating mode, because all the males will have brilliant red heads and will have the large yellow wattles around their necks.
Right. So do the same pair usually use the same area? Or?
They don't work in pairs. With the brush turkey, only the male does the mound. The female doesn't have anything to do with the mound other than feeding in it occasionally and so on. And she lays the eggs, and after that the male keeps on maintaining the mound all the way through. While they're scratching the leaf mould back up into a pile, and they're moving, they're also pecking all the time, because they then release insects and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a combined thing. It's not purely a building the mounds.
The fig tree is one of the oldest living trees on Earth. This one is called a strangler fig, named because of the way it envelops its host. The fig seed germinates in a tree crevice or hole, usually through a bird's faeces. The seedling immediately begins to grow roots, which drop down along the trunk of the host tree to the ground. In this way, it anchors itself with a network of roots, so that even when the host tree dies, the fig has built itself a strong foundation of roots that enable it to stand by itself in the forest. Colour is nature's way of perpetuating flower and other plant species by attracting insects and birds, such as Maclay's honeyeater, as pollinators.
Behind the leaves there on the other branch.
Oh, I can see him.
You've got to come over this way to see him.
He's preening.
The Cairns birdwing butterfly is found only in the Queensland tropical rainforests. The males are green, gold and black and are smaller than the larger females, whose wings have black, yellow and white marks on them. The female's wingspan can reach a foot or more. The Ulysses butterfly is known for its metallic blue upper wings and its camouflaged brownish underwings. The female lays its eggs on particular leaves of trees in the rainforest. The hatched larvae feed on these specific leaves and continue the butterfly's metamorphic cycle. Around the Daintree River lies one of the most diverse rainforests in all of Australia. Here lies one of the few unspoiled wilderness areas where two complex environments meet, the rainforest and the coral reef. Being a lowland rainforest, this area was spared by the glaciation during the last Great Ice Age, which helped preserve the complexity of the forest. This area is called the wet tropics, where more than 800 species of trees can be found.
And the vines particularly are fast-growing modern plants. And in our wet season here, it sounds inconceivable, but some of these vines are growing at over 1 metre a day. I've recorded a supplejack vine growing 1.3 metres in one 24-hour period. So it's ferocious.
Incredible.
Warren Knott, a riverboat guide, has been leading people through this undisturbed rainforest for the past several years. The Daintree River is home to saltwater organisms such as the catastylus. These jellyfish can feed on small crustaceans such as copepods or fish eggs. They feed through tubes which act as mouths in their 8 legs.
You also get a mollusk.
Ed Smith, a marine biologist, catches one to get a closer look.
A parallel line that goes past one of the plates.
Although these jellyfish are often found swimming up the Daintree River, a mile or more from the ocean, it was unusual to find such a great number of them concentrated in one area.
He doesn't come ashore, it's too much of a waste of energy, I suppose.
Warren is on the lookout for a saltwater crocodile, which he has seen in this part of the river.
So if a crocodile of about our body weight eats, say, a large barramundi or a small pig, early in the winter, it probably won't eat again till the summer. So it just ticks over, it's just pumping enough oxygen to the brain to stay alive. It's all in low gear. They actually have the ability, they were revving it up very quickly, they can change it from 5 heartbeats a minute to 60 heartbeats a minute, just like that. They've got a big vascular system, they can pump lots of adrenaline through their bloodstream very quickly, and they can move with lightning speed. The muscle which operates the jaw runs right down their back and halfway down their tail. They've got enormous pressure this way. They've got teeth which interlock, so they're very efficient sort of clutching animals. They do that thing of going into a roll and disorientating their prey. They really have it all over you in the water. Once a crocodile's got you, they lose an arm or a leg. Yeah.
A croc is spotted along the bank. It's a young one, only 6 feet long. It seems fearless of the boat and tolerates an approach to within 15 feet. This species is largely nocturnal and feeds on fish, crustaceans, reptiles, birds and mammals. This black mangrove forest is just one of 23 species that grow by the Daintree River. These have remained basically unchanged for the last 100 million years. The root systems of these mangroves derive their oxygen from its stilt-like roots that are exposed to air during the low tides. Others grow roots that act like snorkels. The mangrove seed pods drop into the muddy bottom and take root, ensuring self-perpetuation.
How many feet off the ground? About 40, 35.
Florida ceiling.
No, maybe not. 30. Let me see where
You're too high, Pamela. Here, sit down.
Especially look at the right-hand one, then look at the left-hand one. It'll explain.
Good work.
When the boat arrives at an island camp, Fleur Quinn, Warren's wife, and their 4-year-old daughter greet the group. Fleur takes the group on a hike through the lowland rainforest, pointing out some unique wildlife and natural history of this ancient lowland tropical rainforest.
Plants, when they grow in soils that are called anaerobic soils, which is compacted, hard, airless soils as opposed to aerobic, there's no oxygen to attach their feeder roots to feed. So they make these roots come out of the ground and take oxygen from the atmosphere and channel it back to the feeder roots to feed. So whether you see buttress roots or stilt roots or knee roots or whatever kinds of roots come out of the ground, it tells you that it's an anaerobic, compacted, airless soil.
These green tree ants, or weaver ants, build their nests by sewing the green leaves of trees together. The leaves are glued together by a silken thread, provided by half-grown larvae that are carried by the full-grown ants. These ants induce the larvae to release their sticky silk to glue all the leaves together.
So to get a feeling of this big variety of life, the easiest way I know is just when you're walking through. Leaf shapes are difficult, but the easiest way is bark textures really. And a spot like here, if you look at the different colours and textures of the barks of the trees, even the small ones, right through here, right round, you can see there's an incredible big variety of trees just in this one spot. And that continues. I think on the walk we walked through quite a few hundred different kinds of trees.
These holes are fiddler crab burrows. These crabs prefer to come out at night to eat fallen leaves from that day. Their larger pincers are designed for defence against predators, such as birds. A 1-hour flight from the Daintree crosses the Great Dividing Range to the outback in Lakefield National Park, one of the largest parks in Australia.
Hello, Mary, Alan, and Meg. Hello. Hello, Stephen.
Where the coast can receive an average rainfall of 100 to 200 inches per year, here beyond the dividing range, it rains only in the summer. The water then recedes slowly, forcing much of the wildlife to live near permanent waterholes called billabongs.
See the big paperbark trees? These big trees with basically white.
Steve leads one group to a billabong. In the wet season, these billabongs become a part of the river. Now they are home to various waterfowl and crocodiles. Steve entertains the group with his favourite man-eating crocodile story.
There's an Australian guy standing at the water's edge fishing with a rod and lures. And, you know, standing there in his thongs and his footy shorts, and he's got a can of beer in his hand, you know, fishing away. He had his 16-year-old son with him, which is tragic for the son to witness. Anyway, this guy, his lure got stuck on a log out in the water. Yeah. Oh, you know, there's a sign up saying, "Watch out for crocodiles." You know, goes over and it wades into the water this deep to get his lure hooked on a log. Yeah. Of course, Croc came along, swam up to him, and grabbed him. His last act was to throw his beer can at the Croc.
Sounds at the end of the day include those of a kookaburra and some cockatoos.
Next main shop is round the corner here.
Percy Tresize is a self-taught archaeologist whose dream was to settle on this land in order to better explore it. He has convinced his grown children to keep his dream alive. They now help him run a camp so that people from all over the world can experience what he has discovered and written about in books describing the Aborigines' cave art and legend. The engravings are known to be 50,000 years old or more. These are the memory banks, and this art is the literature, the stories of the hunter-gatherers.
Did you have any idea you were going to find this?
Oh yeah, I flew over here in an aeroplane and knew there'd be plenty here.
You sort of deduced from the geography of the place that they would have been used like this?
I knew there'd be plenty.
What I know, I'm sorry, I was back there.
And there's a big fat catfish.
Oh yeah.
And all the flying foxes are fat. They don't want no skinny ones. There's see the emu tracks with infill with red paint. Yeah. There's a very clear emu track there with infill with the red paint.
Percy asks his son Matt to accompany the group to some of the higher caves. Percy calls these areas dream roads because Aborigines have frequented these places continuously for millennia, and their art has remained relatively unchanged. Dreamtime refers to the Aborigines' long tradition of oral history, filled with stories about the wildlife, events they have experienced, and music that has been handed down through many generations.
This is the honeymoon shelter.
Here's another history.
Yes, the most recent paintings here are done in a sort of a creamy clay.
Like that?
There's this one here. That's a fish, and that one over there, which is an echidna. You can see there's a couple more ladies down here, one very nicely drawn. And beneath her, painted horizontally, is another lady. Also in deep red, but with a yellow outline and splotches, yeah.
Matt continues hiking, and the group stops at 16 different caves, each of which had stories of the Aborigines' experiences with the animals.
The eel was considered a phallic symbol, and the paintings of eels were done to make a woman fall in love with the artist.
Amulet like.
Yeah. This biggest figure here is a kangaroo.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
See how it's got the the big hind legs, the feet are drawn at right angles. Show the kangaroo's long foot. And his shorter front legs. His tail carried out straight as though he's in flight. And here behind him is a dingo attacking. We've got other sites here where the dingoes are drawn right under the tail.
That was their great law, that no one could kill and eat anything that was poor. And I saw it in
Percy explains that the Aborigines abided by a law that forbade the killing of animals during times of drought and starvation. This ensured that all living things had an equal chance for survival. Percy is also one of the few Australians who actually leads interested parties on these archaeological hikes today and shares his vision with those who take the time to come see these extraordinary paintings.
The Aboriginal art, the rock paintings were absolutely fantastic, and it took hours in the gruelling sun to get up there, but it was worth every single moment of it. It really was.
The local watering hole was chosen as a rendezvous site for a picnic. However, after hiking in the noonday sun, it soon became the swimming hole.
Oh, that's nice and cool.
Come on, Sue. Little duckbill platypuses.
The Aboriginal people had established their roots in Australia as far back as 100,000 years. Aborigines have always maintained a close relationship with the animals, creating dances and stories about them. These dances are performed by the Jabberkai Dance Theatre, an Aboriginal group from Queensland. Off the coast of Queensland lies the Great Barrier Reef. It extends 1,200 miles from Papua New Guinea to the Tropic of Capricorn. Its width varies from 3 to 100 miles and is a patchwork of reefs and channels. The Great Barrier Reef has more than 2,900 individual reefs and about 900 islands. This tropical coral reef supports the most diverse marine ecosystem known to man. Many parts of the reef have yet to be accurately charted because it is so complex. It takes a trained eye high on the mast to direct the skipper through the myriad of coral reef heads. There are several hundred kinds of coral here. Each species is a coral colony, which is made up of thousands of tiny coral polyps. They grow on top of the dead limestone skeletons, on remnants of their predecessors. The polyps are soft tissues with a mouth surrounded by tentacles that can survive in the relatively shallow, warm, sunlit water. The reason for living near the surface is twofold. Within their tissues live simple-celled organisms called zooxanthellae. In turn, these plants rely on the sunlight at the surface in order to survive. The coral polyps actually live on the byproducts of zooxanthellae, but they also rely on the other small organisms in the water, such as crustaceans. During the day, most polyps withdraw into their skeletons because the plankton on which they feed rise to the surface at night. Reefs can be destroyed by toxic spills, heavy storms, and can also be damaged by other organisms that feed on the coral, or by careless divers.
About 3 feet deep, 2 feet.
Everyone is excited about snorkeling and diving on the reef. This reef is a snorkeler's paradise because of the incredible diversity of coral and fish concentrated in one location. Members of the group take a break from snorkeling to get a closer look at some interesting invertebrates that Rob has brought up. This is a nudibranch, this a flatworm.
Oh boy, what a design.
Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, magic. Magic.
Yeah.
Wonderful animal. They're beautiful.
There are over 1,500 types of fish in the Great Barrier Reef. Many of the colourful fish are grazers or use the reef as shelter. In some cases, fish use other organisms as their shelter, such as these clownfish that hide in the anemone's tentacles. The anemone use them to paralyse other fish and prey for food. However, the clownfish are immune to the anemone's stinging tentacles due to a mucus coating over their scales.
dance me over. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm dancing. Come on, we got work to do.
Thank you. Okay, here's mine.
Rob, Ron and Wendy decide to go scuba diving to see if they can find some of the larger fish. Rob will try to videotape some of his finds.
Thank you. Okay, where is the reef there?
Right that way.
Okay.
First, they are surprised by these white-tipped reef sharks. Another discovery is a fearless moray eel. These mating green sea turtles are startled by the diver's presence.
A huge potato cod. I've never seen one of those before. And then when we first went down, there was a shark, and we got pictures of the shark.
White tip?
It wasn't a white tip, and it wasn't a black. I don't know what it was.
Forget I asked.
But the cod was just, I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen one. They're just so, they're as big as this boat, it seems like.
There's a lot there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was.
Where's the yellow tape?
Lots and lots of things.
Oh, there was a big bronze whaler.
There's a bronzy.
Middle-sized bronze
What's
whaler.
that? Is that the shark? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Potentially dangerous.
Quite, you know, it was like 2 minutes after we got down there. And that big groper that was bigger than Ron.
That was a great fish. I love that one. He kept everywhere I went. He followed me. Every time I turned around, there's this monster mouth right behind me.
Yes.
Yeah, it certainly was. We started off with a nice little black-tip reef shark coming by
that
too.
Wasn't a black tip.
I don't think it was a black
No, it
tip.
wasn't.
Oh, you don't think so? It had a black tip on one fin.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was a black tip. I didn't see it.
Can't go wild like that.
So it was really lovely dive. Really great.
Yeah, excellent. There's nice soft corals and purple soft corals.
Oh, that was a beautiful one at the end when you were photographing that purple.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
But the current was just so strong. The upwellings there.
Yeah.
That's why
We went way up to that far end and then just kind of drifted back. And Kay and I got into a canyon, you know, all of a sudden, where there was coral all around us and there was this shark below us, and there was kind of this moment of panic, like, where are we? And then we could see some blue skies, and we thought, well, the worst thing that happened is we'd turn around. But we ended up cutting through it. It was really great fun. Beautiful stuff.
Spencer, a native New Guinean, as the chef aboard, prepares a smorgasbord of dishes for every lunch, and this one's no exception.
These look pretty good, don't they? They're decent size, aren't they? Down there?
Oh, I tell you.
The Great Barrier Reef is so large it would take several lifetimes to see it. One can get a sense of its dimensions by setting adrift over the reef during a tidal change. Three days on this reef was not nearly as long as the group would have liked. Every day featured underwater discoveries that one might only see once in a lifetime. Between the reef and the mainland are the Whitsunday Islands, a group named by Captain James Cook during his exploration here in the 1700s.
Right, you're going to hit this rip here, Wendy. You just have to, if it swings the boat, kick it the other way, all right?
These seafarers got a taste of some windy weather, but fortunately they had reliable charts, a luxury Captain Cook did not have.
That one goes in nearly 4 miles.
Thus the names he gave some of these bodies of water are False Bay, Deception Pass, Endeavour Reef, where he ran aground and which he named after his ship.
She'll sail for a while and say, oh yeah, that's all right. Then suddenly something will get her and she'll go whipping off one way or another. She does it quite fast for a big boat like this, and you've got to watch her when she's under sail.
The group sets off to explore some of these islands. Several went wading towards shore in search of stingrays, and they were not disappointed.
It's on those stingrays, Pamela, where the body and the tail, where the tail joins the body, the barb, that's where the barb is. So that's the only point that's a problem. I mean, the bodies are fine and the tail's fine. It's just where, just at the junction there, the barb sticks up. So the real danger is if you jumped out of a dinghy and landed right on that point of the stingray. That's where one or two people have got hurt. Yeah.
From the Great Barrier Reef, the group goes overland to the highland rainforest called Eungella National Park. Eungella means land of the cloud. Due to runaway fires that farmers set prior to the sugarcane's harvest, the edges of the rainforest are burned further back every year. Not all tropical rainforests are alike, as Rob explains.
The Eungella rainforest was affected by glaciation, so it's only 30,000 years really that this has been standing alone and unconnected with other rainforests. It's been separated from other rainforests by corridors of dry eucalypt bush, and that has made a number of unique features in this area. There are a number of different species that are specific to Eungella. There's the gastric brooding frog, which was discovered in '84 and has got incredible ramifications for medical science in terms of ulcer treatment and so on. There are more species around me now than there are in all of North America, And as you walk through the rainforest, you have to think of all the different layers of animals that you don't see. You're only looking, in fact, at one level. So we have billions of insects on the forest floor living in all this leaf litter, huge numbers that none of us see, but are silently going on with their work to make the whole rainforest enclosed system work. A lot of the activity goes on right up on top of the canopy, up in the sun. In fact, there are a lot of similarities between the Great Barrier Reef and the rainforest. Here in the rainforest, everybody is reaching up for the sun. On the Great Barrier Reef, similarly, all the animals and plants are reaching for light, because photosynthesis is what drives both systems in the beginning.
And the real attraction for Australia is that it's so different from the other parts of the world. You know, the animals and plants have evolved on their own. There are bunches of birds here, for example, that are found nowhere else in the world. And, you know, even common groups of birds like parrots and pigeons, which are found everywhere, have some spectacular representatives here. So, you know, the bright, colorful birds and the sounds and stuff like, you know, that galah that's over there calling on that tree. It's just, I mean, where else in the world do you have pink parrots that are common?
The pink galah is a type of cockatoo, and the adults mate for life. One of the common behaviours is that they preen each other to strengthen the bond between the pair. Galahs like to congregate in a tree, especially the young birds. It becomes a community meeting place as the young birds mimic the adults or wait for the parents to return with food.
And then what I do next is usually look at my compass bearing and take off in the direction of the beak.
Peggy Rissmiller has been studying the habits and biology of the echidna. She has placed transmitters on several of them in order to track their movement and behaviour.
The echidna is a monotreme, and monotremes are unique because they are egg-laying mammals. Now, among the egg-laying mammals, there's only the echidna and the platypus. The other important thing about the monotremes is that they're very, very old. In fact, they represent the oldest living mammals in the world today. The ancestors of the echidnas were actually roaming the planet with the dinosaurs. And everybody knows what happened to the dinosaurs. They died out, and the monotremes, the echidnas and the platypus, have survived today. And we know so little about them. We know very little about their reproduction. We know very little about their natural habits. We have no idea how many are left in Australia.
Mike McKelvey, an American naturalist, has been living and working in Australia for the past 17 years. He's been working with Peggy on the study of these echidnas. He locates an echidna during one of the group's forays. Its spines are thick and sharp, but unlike the porcupine, the echidna do not release quills into their victims.
See the characteristic grooming claw on the hind leg there. Now you can see how he's reacting to the sound of the shutters, so their hearing is excellent.
The echidna mouth at the end of the beak is a very, very small opening, and in fact the echidna does not have a hinged jaw, and the mouth only opens the width of the tongue. And this tongue is covered with a sticky saliva. It has little spines on it, so everything that the echidna picks up, the dirt and the insects, is actually pulled into the mouth.
Is he a baby one?
Yes, this would be what we would say a sub-adult.
You can look back, and then if the photographs come out, you can remember the wonderful buzz that you get when you look at a really rare animal like this echidna that we saw today. To finding those echidnas, you look and there's his beautiful little nose and his little tail and his paddles all paddling away, and you know he's been here longer than you have because it's a very old animal. And but he's such a soft and gentle animal too, and to find one of these things and to handle it and feel inside his little pouch gives you a wonderful buzz, and you may get out of the bus and think, oh, I'm absolutely tired out, I can't look at another animal today, and then you suddenly find one of the things and the whole thing lights up, and then you're walking about as if you're not tired at all.
Queensland has numerous marsupials, many that come out to feed at dusk. Here is another small cousin to the kangaroo, the wallaby. They generally eat leaves, fallen fruits and browse on small bushes. These wallabies act rather tame around people because they seem to know they'll be eating some takeaway human food if they're patient.
In a popular song, they say he's not a bear at all, and the koala actually is a marsupial. The female carries her young in a pouch, and the animals have extremely powerful claws where they can hang on to the tree and walk up and down these big branches very easily. They feed on many, many species of plants, not just the 2 or 3 as was originally thought.
Mike tries to converse with a koala, but instead the koala gets the last word.
Stand quiet.
One of the most common sights throughout Australia is the goanna, a name given most types of monitor lizards. Mike catches one of these so the group could get a closer look at it.
One of the interesting things about this species is he has a very good parietal eye up here on top of the head. See that little mark there? That's the third eye, or the one that's light sensitive. I'm a little more cautious in picking them up. Peggy was working with these a while back, and a meter long one barrel rolled on her and bit through and left, I think in the end, six teeth buried in the finger bones.
It is evident that these goannas are deceptively quiet, but when confronted, they can act with lightning speed.
You ready?
The emu has a double-layered coat of feathers, which protects it from the heat. These birds have a common origin with other flightless birds of Gondwana land, the ostrich of South Africa and the rheas of South America. Their immediate ancestors are the cassowaries from the rainforests of Queensland. But the emus developed these longer legs and shorter toes for long-distance walking. Although these birds with flat breastbones lost the power of flight long ago, the emus still have vestiges of wings, about a foot long in adult birds. They move slowly and their legs use little energy. Some of the food is stored as fat, so they can withstand long, lean periods. The kangaroo is the largest marsupial on Earth today. Although Australia is known for this animal, it has not been determined where these animals began their existence. They developed about 100 million years ago, before Gondwana land was split apart into smaller continents. Australia is the only place one can still find these animals in the wild. They feed on grasses, shrubs and tree leaves, preferring woodland habitats because of the shade they find under the trees. Even so, they usually come out late in the day, before dusk, when it becomes cooler. This is the eastern grey kangaroo. While it is thought that these animals jump on their hind legs, their tails offer them additional stability. They can even stand on them if necessary. What makes these animals so unique is the fact that they have 2 uteri, or 2 separate wombs. With kangaroos, the embryo develops inside the female for about a month. Then it emerges crawling across a short stretch of fur to the second womb, or its mother's pouch. There, the young, or joey as it's called, will stay for the next 6 months. It suckles its mother's milk from one of 2 teats inside the pouch. These western grey kangaroos are among the largest of the kangaroos, and the adults can stand 6 feet or more. They can travel at speeds of 40 miles an hour, but their usual gait is about 15 miles an hour. Kangaroos use the strong tendons in their hind legs as if they were springs. In effect, they store the energy from each bound to provide the force for the next bound. They use far less energy than a four-legged placental mammal.
This kind of travel, the most exciting thing about it is the sense of discovery, you know, that you can go out and find things, learn things new for yourself, the same way that, you know, early explorers like Captain Cook and those people were discovering new things every day. You know, we can't discover new things that are new for the planet like they did, but we can discover things that are new for ourselves, and I really enjoy that, and discovering a new bird or a new fish, or, you know, listen to a new sound, or watch a new behavior. Just, you know, the idea of discovery and a sense of understanding the world around us, that's the exciting part for me.
The group hiked over many miles of terrain during the 3-week journey in Queensland. Each individual sought his or her own personal encounters with the unique wildlife surrounding them. The tropical rainforests of Queensland and the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park are now protected as World Heritage Sites, raising the hope that future generations will be able to experience these unique ecosystems as they are today.
International Video Network brings you the greatest adventures in video entertainment. Award-winning documentaries from Reader's Digest, exploring the masterworks of man and nature. Travel planning videos from Fodors, revealing looks at the people, places, and cultures of the world. Rand McNally Video Expeditions, taking you to some of the most remote and dangerous places on Earth. Rand McNally Video Travelers, whirlwind tours you can enjoy from the comfort of your living room. Super Cities, celebrating the best-loved cities of the world. And Video Visits, whisking you away to exotic, romantic, and popular destinations. International Video Network. Great adventures in video. See your local video retailer or call International Video Network at 1-800-669-4486, extension 850 for your free catalog, featuring more than 250 travel, documentary, and special interest videos.